So, welcome everybody to this webinar. It's going to be fairly short and we want it to be interactive. So please feel free to ask any questions as the presentation is going on. Also included today is Debbie Ulmer from Acadian Monitoring. And the reason I've asked Debbie to join us today is because she will have specific expertise in the problems that monitoring stations have with regards to monitoring construction sites. So today is all about how we look after monitoring and securing construction sites. And the first item on the agenda really is, what are the 4 stages of construction? Typically, we have what we call open sites. These are sites where there is no perimeter fencing, there's ground being broken up, and we have plant machinery often being delivered to these sites, along with sometimes some materials as well. The second one is when perimeter security goes in. This is where more materials are arriving during the contract, and perimeter fencing is then erected, which kind of encompasses everything. But also, we find that perimeter fencing does tend to alert the villains to what may be inside the construction site. The third one is what we call first stage build. So this is where construction is, we've got ground level construction, probably to the first floor. So it could be timber, brick, construction up to the first floor. And this presents problems to construction security because we're now starting to create what we call blind spots. And then the final one is what we call the advanced security site monitoring and security for construction. This is where buildings are actually reaching roof level. And we also have often materials going inside the buildings. So it is a little bit more lucrative for the vandals and thieves to go in and to try and take as much as they can from these sites. So I'm going to talk about first how we're going to work with this. And we will bring in Reconeyez a little bit about how we've, as a company, we've solved the issues with a lot of these problems. And when we look at open sites is really the most difficult for security. Why? Because we have no power, we have no infrastructure, there's no communication available, but there is still quite a lot of expensive equipment going on these sites. And a lot of integrators actually miss the opportunity to get in at what we call the ground level here, because typically they're used to working with powered CCTV or even CCTV towers, which have very expensive modems in them. So it's quite expensive to transmit alarm data. So they tend to miss this sales vertical. However, we do find that the integrators that are using our product at the ground level typically will then offer and be able to provide security right the way through the contract. And some of these contracts can be 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. Why is Reconeyez good for that? Well, we have a battery or solar powered video alarm system. This means that we don't need to provide any power to this. We have rechargeable batteries, or we can get the cameras to work off of solar. The control unit, or bridge as we call it, has got a cellular SIM inside it. So we're able to cost effectively transmit alarms from those cameras to the monitoring station or a guard on site. But we'll talk about the cloud opportunities later. But it means that what we can do with Reconeyez being completely battery operated, it means it's very flexible. So it means that we can move cameras around depending on how the site develops, but it does require integrators and dealers to go in at this ground level and really map out to their client how these machinery or materials are gathered in on the site, and then use the Reconeyez cameras to zone in on those areas and offer protection. The difficulty we find with dealers is that they will very often think of this as an open alarm system, so they can just arm it and leave it. Debbie, would you like to join in at this stage and tell me what sort of issues you have when we're trying to secure and look at alarms coming in from this particular open site?
You bet. You bet. when you put a recognized unit out on not only a construction site, but any site, you have to walk test the alarms. That's how we build the zones for it. It's not like the set it and forget it oven that you just drop it and walk away from it. That won't work. You're not doing your customer service and you're not doing yourself justice because the system's not going to work as planned. You have to truly partner with your central station and let us know what the customer's expectations are. What do they want us to watch? Like Paul said, have them cluster the valuables together. You know, most people want to get as much bang for their buck as they can, just, like everybody. But that can be done with some advanced planning. So what you have to do with your customer is set up reasonable expectations. Uh,
Fantastic.
I am so sorry. I just got a pop-up. It said, "Are you speaking Dutch?" I have no idea where that came from. I am stopped up, but I'm pretty sure I'm still speaking English here.
You are. Carry on.
And it's up to your central station to set up reasonable expectations for you on what can be done, what can't be done. The number one goal is to limit your false alarms, which Reconeyez is great to partner with, but once again, you have to have a little bit of advanced planning. If your construction site, if the workers start showing up every day at 7 o'clock, or that's when they're supposed to show up, you need to have that system auto disarm about 6:30 because people show up early. If it's beautiful and the weather is lovely wherever Patty's at in Hawaii, I'm sure people don't rush out at 5 o'clock. Maybe you don't want to have the system arm up till 8 o'clock because at the end of the day, I sell the most fallible product out there, which is human nature. If they know a site is going to be false alarm after false alarm after false alarm, doesn't matter what the equipment is, they're not going to grab it as quickly as one that we get an alarm from, every now and again. That one could be legit. So I'm sure Paul will give y'all some time at the end to ask questions about how the central station works.
Yes, I will. Thank you for that, Debbie. Yeah,
Thank
I mean, Debbie's hit the main points on the head, and that is essentially talking to your client, arranging what the arm and disarm schedule should be, which also includes people coming in out of hours. That may occur. With the Reconeyez having the AI, it significantly improves the alarm uh, delivering to the monitoring station. It hits our cloud, the alarms come through, hit our cloud. The AI confirms that we've got a person or a car or a truck, and will then deliver that alarm to the monitoring station. So we go some way to taking out a lot of the false alarms that are coming in. And what Debbie is being presented with is a confirmed activated alarm. But as she said, if we've got the arming schedule incorrect, that's going to bring alarms in on workers who are entering the site. So clustering together is key. Getting the schedule together with the client, absolutely essential. But also, as Debbie said, managing the customer's expectations. So Reconeyez is not a CCTV system. We don't constantly record. All we're doing is it's sitting there almost like a human guard. Every camera is almost like a human guard. It sits there, and when it's armed, it will only activate when somebody goes past and deliver a video to the monitoring station. The good thing about the cameras is because they act like a guard, you don't have to pay them sick pay, you don't have to pay them holiday pay, and they will work through every hour and every temperature. Okay, so think of Reconeyez as each camera as a guard,
and you know it's going to be there tomorrow.
and you know it's going to be there tomorrow. Absolutely, yes. So please, as an integrator and as a dealer, don't just think about a site that's starting as, oh, I've got to wait 6 months down the line before I can go and approach them for security. Reconeyez will give you an opportunity to get in at ground level. Okay. The next stage we're talking about then is when we talk about perimeters. So this is where the number of items entering the site, which can be raw materials, it can be goods, it can be containers, porta cabins with computer equipment in, etc. The site then says, "Oh, I think we need a perimeter now to stop people coming in." So because Reconeyez is basically battery operated or solar powered, no wiring involved, no infrastructure, no networking. It literally means that whatever system you put on there, as the perimeter fencing goes up, you can actually move the cameras to protect specific areas of perimeter. You can also add additional cameras, but perimeter we can actually start to look at putting the camera facing down the line, and again that AI can also be watching people coming over. And the AI, the Reconeyez AI, is very, very successful, has a very high success rate. And that is because, and again, this is way above my pay grade, but the algorithm that we use is constantly being updated with new images. So I'll give you an example. A couple of years back, we had an instance where a guy in black rolled under the fence. Now, typical CCTV or AI system would look at that and get confused and say, not sure about that. The Reconeyez AI picked him straight up, highlighted that this was a person, triggered the alarm. I've worked with AI since really its inception 20 years ago, and I've seen various systems of AI working. For me, and it's not just because I sell it, the Reconeyez AI is absolutely superb. So we can work with that with perimeter. But again, what happens is we tend to have long perimeter areas, long perimeter lengths. And the wisdom is, oh, I put a camera there to look down the whole length of that perimeter. No. All cameras have what they call operational distances, which is where the PIR detector works and the camera will see that distance. It's critical, and we've seen it so many times where they put one camera in each corner, but there's 500 feet of perimeter fencing to patrol. It isn't going to work. You're going to have gaps in that. So again, it's about going back to the site, and it's about talking to your client, managing their expectations, and saying, okay, if you want the whole perimeter fencing secured, we can do that, but we've got to operate within the camera limits. You will find that as soon as perimeter fencing goes up, activity goes up. Now, that can also mean gates being operated in and out. And we do have cameras which can now take number plates, record those number plates in case there's any incidents that need to be checked in at a later stage. It also means that your site then is gradually getting spread out. So the big error that a lot of dealers do is they talk about protecting the perimeter, but they don't look at also looking at protecting some of the compound area inside. The reason that can happen is sometimes materials go missing off sites, and sometimes it can be workers who have gone in late, allowed to be on site, but gone into a porta cabin and suddenly materials have gone missing. So again, the flexibility of Reconeyez allows you to add additional cameras to protect those areas that need protecting where specific materials are being stored. Any questions on that, Debbie? Are you okay with perimeter? Or what have you found with perimeter particularly?
Sorry, I had myself muted. My Yorkie alarm was about to go off. I heard Amazon coming down the street. I didn't want to subject y'all to
Choice of
this.
Zoom, yes.
As a central station, you know the site. You've walked the site. You know what we're looking for. But as a central station, we don't know what's being protected and what's not being protected. We can't see a half a football field away, like what Paul said. You need to know the camera's limitations. We might be able to see that there's a water truck, a half a football field away, but we can't tell if he's actually sprinkling water or looking for a fence to drive through to steal the water truck, which we had happened. the event that Paul was talking about where the guy was dressed in black and rolled underneath the fence, he also rolled through where the bushes were, which made him even harder to see. But he was picked up and we did get that one. I do remember that one. That was about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. What I like to tell our dealers, if you can stand back, not be on the construction site, but stand back and look through the lens and see something clearly, we have to be able to tell that that person is breaking the law. When we call the police department or, first responders to tell them that there's something going on a site, 99% of the times we can tell them it's a video verified alarm and they will take it. But 99% of the time they will ask, are they breaking the law? Are they doing something wrong? We can't just go, no, no, it's a closed site. There shouldn't be anybody there, but there's somebody walking through the parking lot. Actually had a police dispatcher say, you're in America. It's not against the law to walk through a parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning or a construction site at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's my thoughts on perimeters.
Thank you. And Debbie raises a great point as well. One of the benefits with Reconeyez is that we have what we call a configuration and installation app. There is no excuse for any dealers that are using Reconeyez where they can't download the image to their phone that the camera is taking and get a complete field of view of what that camera is looking at, and if necessary, adjust it. You have to remember, as Debbie says, what that camera is looking at is what Debbie's operators will see. So as a dealer and an integrator, you have the tools available to you to say, yes, this camera is looking at exactly what I want it to look at. And you can also involve your client to say, are you happy with what we're protecting here?
Yes.
It's all about getting the maximum information and the maximum usage out of the Reconeyez system. And with the configuration and installation app, every operator, every dealer can do that. So there's no excuse walking away, oh, I put the camera in the wrong place. Okay. The other thing, Debbie raised a great point as well, is please let the monitoring station know where these cameras are located. It's no good sending Debbie a camera. I've got 4 cameras set up. Well, camera 2's gone off. Debbie has to know where that camera is, where that intrusion is, so that she can inform law enforcement or mobile guards. Law enforcement will not just attend a site and start walking around it just because we've said, yeah, there's somebody on that site. It needs to be more specific. So little site plans, I'm sure Debbie will agree, little site plans are always useful. And again, give it to your client as well.
Sorry, Paul. Well, one thing you brought up that is very valuable. When we dispatch the police department, we can't tell them, it's by the blue porta can. We can't tell them that. We have to tell them it's the northeast corner of the construction site. Most of them will know their directional where they're supposed to head. If you're using this in a housing project where the apartments are numbered, give us the apartment number that's closest to the camera so they know where to go look. Because if they're wandering around the construction site, like what Paul said, it also gives the bad guys a chance to get away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, so moving on, we then have the next stage, which I call first stage build. So Maggie, we could just change that over. This is where we start to see structures appearing on the site, and they can be quite low level at first, probably one level, or containers. They can be timber frame buildings going up. This creates issues, and it's typically where most of the dealers and integrators tend to drop the ball, if you like. And what I mean by that is we've set up the perimeter. We've had a couple of cameras that are protecting certain areas, but now as buildings start to go up, we create security blind spots. And if a dealer doesn't go back to that site or talk to the client, what will typically happen is that these black spots will then prevent what I call coverage, security coverage. And it also gives the perpetrators a chance to hide when they get on the site, move around without being seen. So it's important that the dealer or integrator goes back at this stage, reviews the camera deployment, and says, are we still covered here? Do we have everything that we want to do? Because believe it or not, buildings going up can also affect perimeter security. Happens quite a lot. So it's important they go back, reinvestigate, have we got cameras deployed? If not, they can move them around. It's literally a case of unbolting them, moving to a new spot, or adding additional cameras. And you can add additional cameras quite easily. But it's a particular area where we tend to get a lot of issues, or Debbie will get a lot of issues as well, because it can sometimes take 3-6 months before this first stage appears. And integrators and dealers are moving on. They've got other projects, they've got other business that they need to do, and they tend to forget about that. So I think it's one of the most important times of the construction site whereby they go back, talk to the client. Is everything still working okay? Yes, lovely. Thank you very much. No, we need to add here. And it's also actually quite an interesting time for the clients, the dealer's clients, to talk, because they very often will be not aware of what is going on the site, believe it or not. It may sound strange, but as they walk around, they suddenly go, oh yeah, we're starting to put copper in here on the ground level. That's a problem. And it will heighten their sense of security as well. So it's a great time to get in there, reevaluate the security with the client, either add additional cameras or move them around. It can be less than an hour's job sometimes with the Reconeyez system. It's very, very quick and easy to do. Okay. Now, final one is what I call the advanced stage. So, Magda, we can move that on.
Hey,
So
Paul.
this is where buildings are going up. They're, probably 1-2 story level. And a lot of clients will be now looking to get CCTV in there because they want to monitor for health and safety reasons or for labor reasons. But they want to monitor that system 24 hours a day, or they'll want it monitored 24 hours a day. I actually think that's fine. That's a great thing. And there's a system we call blended video, which works amazingly well with Reconeyez. And this is where power's now on site. There's networking on site, so we can deploy CCTV cameras. That's not an issue. But again, CCTV has its issues. You have to wire it. You have to network it to get it send alarms through. And that is very expensive to do. So what a lot of customers will say is, I want CCTV on there, but I want it as, and I hate to use the word cheap because we shouldn't use cheap in sales, but they say, I want it as cheap as possible. That has limitations on what CCTV can deliver, both in distance and in alarm activity. I recommend to dealers that what they do is they say, fantastic, I can look after your CCTV, but I want to use what's called blended video. And what do we mean by blended video? And what we mean by blended video is where we get a big overview with the CCTV, and we also now redeploy the Reconeyez system to those areas where it's difficult to get CCTV into, either for wiring purposes or for simple logistics of the buildings going up. What happens is Reconeyez will work with the CCTV in terms of it will deliver an alarm to Debbie. Debbie then will have access to that CCTV system, so she can confirm an alarm's coming by AI, and then she can log into the CCTV system for the what I call the live view, and the two systems work side by side. They work absolutely brilliantly. Not enough dealers think about this, and not enough dealers work in this particular way. But what it does is it really impresses your clients when they see that not only have they got the CCTV in, but they've got Reconeyez covering all those little quirky areas that they can't get cameras to, but it's still securing them. Blended video is one of the most underutilized systems in security today, and it really, really should be used more. What it also means is there's extra income for the dealer because they're now working with CCTV and still utilizing the Reconeyez system. And again, Reconeyez can also be pre-configured to work on those areas where CCTV doesn't cover. but Debbie will still get the correct image to say what's coming through. Would you add anything else to that, Debbie?
I do. And I muted myself again from just a second ago. If you move a camera, let your central station know. I mean, Paul's idea of moving things around to get better coverage for your customer with Reconeyez, it's super easy, but you have to communicate that with us. Communication is key. On blended video, it is awesome when you set in a central station and we get a signal in and we can grab it and we can open up live view and we can tell the police where to go. Quite often on alarm calls, we wind up being the backup for the police department. We may watch a single man unit walk through a construction site, which is kind of scary at night. And we've seen a lot of people get attacked over the years, but it is something that works great. The beauty of Reconeyez, it's a one-time purchase. Your client can take it, move it to the next site, and you can monitor it there. The wired cameras, you can leave them behind, and the people taking over the construction site when it's finished, you get a double dip. You can start billing that customer for it.
Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, absolutely. Great point as well. Which leads me nicely on to what I call the RMR element of Reconeyez as well, working with the monitoring stations. So with Reconeyez having a cloud, our cloud works in two ways. It is an alarm receiving piece of software which allows people to receive alarms via the app or via the mobile phone, as well as being sent to the monitoring station. So the cloud allows you as a dealer, and you can even allow your customers this option as well, just access to alarms going off on their site. They don't have to deal with them. That's what Debbie's there for. Nobody wants to be dealing with an alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning. I certainly don't. I look bad enough today, let alone working at 3 o'clock in the morning. So leave that to Debbie, but you can get up in the morning, go onto the cloud platform. What's happened on my site last night? Oh, I can see we've had some alarms. I can see Debbie's looked at responded to them. We've had the following responses. And Debbie's organization is absolutely amazing at keeping the clients and the dealer in the loop. So Acadian are very, very good at that. So you're not going to be left in the dark when you get up in the morning and what's happened, I don't know. It's very good on that. So there is a cost element to that, because as well as the cloud being able to do that alarm sending and alarm receiving, it is also a configuration system as well. So it means that you can actually remotely reconfigure some elements of the Reconeyez cameras from a laptop or from your phone. You don't have to now go to site. So that's saving both in time, transportation, and you're also charging the client for that privilege as well, which means you're getting recurring revenue each month from that. Very, very important. The more cameras and the more systems you deploy, the more that recurring element increases. And again, that's important because when I first started out in security, a dealer, and I was an installer as well, I'd go to site, I'd sell them the cameras, sell them the monitoring and walk away, and I'd wait for my next job. Okay. With Reconeyez, what it means is I'm not just selling the cameras, but as I walk away, I'm also getting recurring revenue as well. And that's really, really important in today's market and really important in the sales vertical. Finally, it also allows, because we can distribute those alarms, it also allows for the option of site response. So patrol guarding, if you wanted that option as well. We have to leave it open because not all sites are the same, and not all clients want the same thing. So we leave that open, but it does mean that we can send those alarms anywhere you want to any number of people. And again, that works well with Acadian, because sometimes it might be easier to have a guard on site, or you might be easier to have a patrol guard system, but Debbie can be receiving that alarm at the same time. So there's coverage on both of those alarms coming through. Finally, final slide, Magda, please. I told you guys I'd keep this short, simple, and sweet. Okay. we've developed Reconeyez into a tower system as well, a portable tower system, which is solar operated. And the benefit to this system is that it can be literally upsticked and moved around the site. It's got 360 alarm vision with siren, all operated off solar. So again, no wiring, no networking. It's got a cellular SIM in there. The benefit to this is it's got 4 cameras on there, as I say, operating 360, but you can add additional cameras and place them around the site, and they will work with this unit. So we're talking about total versatility here with the tower system, and we call it the Sentinel. We launched it in April at ISC West this year, proving very, very popular. Why? Well, it's very, very cost effective. It allows a dealer to literally set this up in their workshop, back of a truck, go to site, set it up, test it on their configuration app. Yes, we're looking at the right area, walk away. This can be done in 20 minutes. That's how fast it can be done. And again, as the site changes, that system, that unit can be moved around. So it's very, very flexible. We are looking to add to the Sentinel unit. So there's new things coming in the new year as well, which are going to increase its versatility. But we'll keep you updated on that. And you'll see the emails coming out from the lovely Magda. When we do that, she will send those out to you. Okay. So I wanted to keep this short and sweet and open the floor up to questions. Has anybody got any questions or anything they're not sure about? Please feel free to talk now. Me and Debbie are there to help.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah, sure.
So as far as I mean, normally in these remote areas, there's really no lighting, right, for the most part. So how well are the images with terrible lighting, let's say? Do you have nothing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, we're delivering 2 megapixels during the day and 1 megapixel at night. And your question really, I think, refers to the nighttime images.
Yeah.
So we have a very powerful 940 nanometer IR, which operates up to 80 feet. And we have images available on our website, which can show you the nighttime shots without any external lighting. It shows up with the 940 nanometer IR. It shows up very, very powerful IR. Gives you a very, very good working image at night on 1 megapixel.
Okay. And so you said that you have pretty much new ones with AI built in. Is that on your website as well?
Yes, all the cameras, the cameras operate by delivering the video. When that video hits our cloud, we have an AI server in the cloud, which pulls that alarm in. And whatever you program that AI to detect, it will check against what you programmed in and confirm, yes, this is a person, or this is a car, or this is a boat, or an animal. It can be anything. You can pre-program what you want the AI to send the alarms on.
So those images are sent to a cloud that is run by you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Because we have our own central station, so it would work out this pretty similar way as far as how you're doing it with other central stations.
Correct. Yes. I mean, we can integrate. We can integrate into any central station, but what we will be delivering to your central station is a confirmed AI video.
Okay. Do you have samples of that by any chance?
Say again. Sorry.
Do you have samples, videos, or anything that you can send me?
We have those on the website as well.
Website. Okay.
Yeah. So www.reconeyez.com. Does anybody say www anymore? Probably not. No. So reconeyez.com. We have videos available on the website for you to view.
Okay. Yeah, Paul, I've got a question as it relates to, and maybe you mentioned this, and I apologize if I missed it. Does it have listening capability and talk down?
No, it doesn't. At the moment, it doesn't. We do have a bridge unit that the cameras detect to that has inputs and outputs. Now you can hardwire to that bridge any third-party device, so you can trigger floodlights, you can trigger a pre-recorded voice, or you can trigger opening a gate or a door. But we don't have audio. and we don't have talk down yet. That is on the roadmap to bring out.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else?
Hey, Paul, this is Pernil. I have a
Hi,
question.
Pernil.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hi.
Good.
Good. Thank you. So the question is actually more for Debbie. Regarding the system, and how long would it take for you to get that signal and then you to relay that message? So what's the time delay there or latency? You're on mute.
Sorry
I think
about that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Seconds actually, but that is from the signal coming in from the camera, going to the cloud and getting to us is a matter of seconds. Then it goes before what's called a scrubber, and the scrubber will look at it and determine if it is something that is suspicious, if it is something that can just be closed out. Paul's cameras are great for picking up animals, but if just in case you guys hadn't picked up on it yet, I'm actually in Texas, and we had them out on a site that there were some feral hogs, and it picked up every one of them suckers because they're so big and such a large mass. So a scrubber would close that out as a non-event. And at that point, then it's raised to what we call a tier 1 or a tier 2 analyst. And we try and get all of our calls or all of our alarms processed in under 180 seconds.
Okay.
And
Thank
the
you.
fewer false alarms you have, the quicker we grab them. Paul, now you're muted.
Sorry, Pranal. I think part of it is that we do need to work very closely with the monitoring stations, and as Debbie said, they do have an amazing response time to this. All of their operators are very familiar with Reconeyez, so understand the system, understand what it's supposed to do. But again, it is all about how you as a dealer deploy, instruct, circumvent the mapping so that that's all done. That all adds to response time.
It's truly a partnership.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, quick question, Paul.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
Patty.
Yep.
Okay, so Hawaii, everybody thinks, oh, sunshine, beautiful. You know, we have a horrible rainstorms. I mean, we get, right off the ocean, these major storms, and it can be wind and it can be very heavy sheets of rain coming down. So, is there, and this maybe it's because I haven't had the time spending in the app or anything, is there a way to go in and adjust the sensitivity of the system or the motion detectors, right? Okay, in order to usurp some of that getting to the central station, if you know what I mean. And is that
Yeah.
a good way to do it, or is it better to have the central station go and put something in no action for a certain time?
No, I think the onus is always on the dealer and the integrator to get the system set up correctly. The monitoring station can't really kind of deal with those external factors. That's you are able to do that as a dealer. It is a great point. The Reconeyez product is IP67, which means it is designed to work in the most extreme temperatures. We have this working as far as the Arctic Circle. We have it in desert terrain. We have it in very hot climate conditions. And we also have it in various areas where heat and humidity are a factor. However, your point about it being able to adjust the system, things happen. So as we know now, Florida is going to be having a hurricane. We're going to be dealing with very high winds, but that happens across the US. And there is a tamper on the system that is able to detect if anybody's trying to move the system or take the system down. It will tamper, take a picture, send an alarm to the monitoring station or to you as a dealer. That can be adjusted. So if you know a storm's coming and there's going to be very high winds and the cameras are deployed on posts or on fencing and it's going to move a lot, you can actually help Debbie's team by reducing the sensitivity of the tamper. You can also reduce the camera detection, and you can also adjust the camera images that are coming through. So how do you want high resolution or low resolution? You can adjust that depending on if you know there's going to be bad weather, and you can do that remotely. You don't have to go to site to do that. Does that answer your question, Paddy?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Not a problem. That's fine.
Can I ask a question, Paul?
Please, yes.
How are you feeling, by the way?
Rough. I keep muting myself because I'm coughing like a
Oh,
geriatric, but there we go. Right, thank you.
oh, no worries. So one, so I'm just thinking, trying to get my head around it. So construction companies, when the majority of them, when did they seek out security companies? Is it phase 1, 2, 3, or what's the most popular?
Typically, phase 2, when perimeter fencing is starting to go around, is when they will then start to think about what is the additional security. That's when most of them then start to reach out to dealers and say, I need some security on this site. That's why I was saying at the very beginning, when you see a site that's breaking ground and you see machinery going on there, that is the optimum time to get in there.
Yeah.
Because most construction companies won't even think they can get security at that stage. So by you going in there and being proactive and saying, hey, I've got something there that can protect those diggers, those cement mixers, the heavy machinery, I've got something now that can protect them. You're getting in at ground level, and you're the first person they will come back to when the perimeter starts to go up, and they'll say, right, can we have a look at what we're doing now?
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's a sales vertical a lot of dealers miss. I was very, very successful with this by going in. I would literally drive by a site that was breaking ground, and I'd go straight onto the site and say, hey guys, we can do security. What, you can do security now? There's no power. I've got no electricity. I've got no networking. We've got a solution for you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the next time they go to the next site, they'll remember you.
Yeah, right. And thank you. Also, so through the stages, you said about putting the cameras or a Sentinel when there's no buildings, phase 1, phase 2.
Yeah.
But then when the buildings start going up, you said to add additional cameras and have the what was it called? It's getting
Blended.
dark here in the UK, so I can hardly see now. But the blended video.
Yeah.
So with that, so would you put the cameras on the inside of the buildings as
They
well?
can go on the inside. Yeah, they can go on the inside. They can go. So typically the reason I say that CCTV starts to get involved then is, as I said before, most construction companies are now saying, yeah, I need to be able to monitor my workers on site. Not typically is for health and safety reasons. So they'll want CCTV going up there. The use of the use of video on CCTV is great for them because they can monitor it live. But as I said to you before, you're also creating areas where the CCTV can't see, and that's where Reconeyez comes into its own. So yes, it can go inside buildings. Absolutely. And typically, sorry to cut across this, typically as well at that time, there's more expensive things going into the buildings. There's more copper, there's more wiring, there's more boilers, there's more systems going in. That typically is what you want to be protecting as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
Well, can I just,
can I
ask?
Hello, Michael.
Sorry, can I ask? We've got some areas out in the Bundu, and where there's no mobile connectivity. Have you guys got anything? Have you guys used these systems in areas where you've got no mobile connectivity? And if so, how have you solved the problem?
That's a great question. So, Michael, I forgot where are you wanting to put these?
Well, we're in Australia, so it's a big country, and there's some areas off the main roads where there's no connectivity.
Yeah. It's a great question, and we unfortunately, Michael, we can't legislate for everything. Now, I do have a lot of here in the US. I have a lot of the systems that are deployed up in, remote Alaska or some various desert areas, and we tend to test first to see whether we've got a signal there that we can operate. We operate across numerous networks as well. So here in the US, typically we're looking at T-Mobile, AT&T. In Australia, I don't know. But at the moment, I think to answer your question, what you'd be possibly looking at is what we call a satellite connection. And at the moment, we don't have satellite connectivity with our bridges. But again, that is something we've raised, and we would like to be able to say that's on the roadmap in the next 18 months. But at the moment, Michael, if there's no connectivity in there, there's not a lot we can do. And I'm being honest with you.
Is Starlink an option?
Starlink is an option, but we'd have to have a different modem, telecoms modem in the bridge. And at the moment, we haven't tested that. We haven't tried it yet. But it's a great question, and I'll be putting it back to our development team to look at that as a possible option. I know we've been working with you guys in Australia, and I have talked to Jason about this, what sort of applications are going in there. So it might be a good idea, Michael, if you can send me a separate email with specific sort of questions on what you want it to do in which areas with the Starlink application, and we'll get back to you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Chet Donati, DMC Security. We got at our call center. We used something similar a few years back called VideoFide.
Yep.
And we had to have servers, equipment in there, and that I think ran us around $7,500. And then we had to pay additional to Bold to integrate. What is required in a call center using your equipment?
We integrate directly into your what platform are you operating on?
We're using the Bold platform.
Okay, so Reconeyez is integrated into Bold, so we will just connect literally the cloud into your Bold platform, and we will deliver straight into your Bold platform, and there wouldn't be a cost for that.
So will we need to retain? I think we're still paying on it. We need to retain the Bold software integration for the old VideoFide, but do we still need a server to run it through?
Yeah. So VideoFide operates on Frontel. Frontel needs to be installed into your Bold. Okay. So my suggestion would be swap out all your VideoFide systems for Reconeyez.
That's what we're doing, Chet. We have no problem with it going directly into Bold. You just have to be up on your Bold. I forget what Bold calls it, where you have to do your module updates.
Right.
There's no nightmare like what you have with the old VideoFide. And
yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Cindy, you had asked about how well it worked in low lighting. When Paul first brought this to us, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago now. At night, I got a call from one of the analysts going, "There's a problem with this Reconeyez unit." I said, "What's the problem?" And she said, "Well, we're getting signals in and it's nighttime, but it looks like daylight." So I came in and logged in. I am a remote worker. Our central station's in Louisiana, and I'm like, "No, it's not. Those are coming in now." That's how well they see at night. Now, I'm not saying it's like a beautiful sunshiny day, but I brought this to Paul. We had a good chuckle. I took Paul to my absolute worst dealer. And I say that because he has almost 500 VideoFide units. That's why he's my worst dealer. And we put Reconeyez and VideoFide side by side on the same site. Within a night or two, somebody stole a trailer. On VideoFide, all we saw was the brake lights. On Reconeyez, we saw the guy hooking the trailer up. Did we catch it? No.
Faster reaction time is what you're saying.
Yes, and better vision. You can see that the person is doing something nefarious. Whereas with VideoFide, we saw a car driving down the road that stepped on the brakes.
So Bold would know exactly what would be required to work with the Reconeyez currently right now.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
your
Okay.
so in your bold software, there is a drop down box which shows you Reconeyez, and you need to click on that, and then any
Okay.
Reconeyez systems we deploy, we will just program the cloud to send it to your bold server.
Checking back with you then. Thank you very much.
No problem. Not a problem at all. Anybody else? Okay. So I wanted to keep this short. We're all very, very busy. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all, and I'm glad I managed to get through it with my sore throat. Debbie, I'd like to particularly thank you so much for your input. I think it's very, very invaluable. And so thank you
for
for
the
that.
opportunity.
Thank you. And so anybody who's thinking about monitoring, Acadian monitoring, please go to their website or speak to this lovely lady, and she will be more than happy to help you. Okay. And Magda, thank you very much for setting this up. Please feel free to email me if you've got any further questions, or you want me to do a presentation for you. And I can actually do a Zoom presentation where I can show you the system working live. And I can also do that for you and your client. So if you've got a client, a big client that you think Reconeyez would be a perfect fit for, but you're not comfortable doing the sales presentation yourself, I can come along and do that for you as your representative as a manufacturer. So I'm very happy to do that as well. But I'm going to sign off now and thank everybody for attending, and have a wonderful day.